Keepsakes is kind of its own little culture.
Different. Yeah.
We have our own unique group.
We end up traveling together. We end up going on these events together. We end up like eating together.
We get to know each
together.
other pretty well.
So you really, yeah, you get to know
More
each
sometimes
other.
than you want to know.
It's family over there. They've been together for so long, all those folks that, in the greeting card world and in the rest of the company, people transfer and move around and get sent to a satellite studio over here or over there. But Keepsakes hasn't changed much over these years. That's why we're all pretty tight.
I went to school as a 2D artist, but for some reason it was so intimidating to me. Painting was intimidating. You were always competing with other artists, you felt like, But when I moved to Keepsakes, every artist will take time to stop and help you. And if you have a question, they will show you how they do it or show you what the best way is to do it.
If you went to every sculptor and said, what are your favorite tools, everybody pull out 3 or 4 probably that are like the primary tools. But
some we've made ourselves. One of my favorite ones, one I made out of a nail.
I would take single-edged razor blades and break them and take those little slivers and put them in a piece of wood, and those have turned out to be some of the favorite tools. But if you look at the history of Keepsakes, it kind of went from brown clay to wax to digital. Half the department now is digital, but most people are the good old sculpting with their hands in wax.
The perfect recipe was created years ago by Dwayne Unruh. One of the main ingredients to this special mix for this wax,
the manufacturer quit making it.
It just stopped. The other person who was making this new recipe retired, so Sharon and I have been literally creating it ourselves and making it.
You're cooking, stirring,
it's all
weighing,
like
all these
critical
chemicals,
measurements, and we're suddenly like mad scientists back there.
Coming
But
along.
It's been good.
I always tell everyone that every ornament starts with a drawing. Before it goes anywhere, it starts its life. Sometimes it's just a doodle or a sketch, but always pencil on paper. Even if I'm going to sculpt it digitally on the computer in a 3D program, it still starts with a drawing. Still have to figure everything out first before you start. You have to educate yourself in what it is you're going to sculpt. Like I've done slot machines before. Okay, well, you have to start looking at slot machines, and you think you know what a slot machine does and it looks like, but until you have to make one and actually have it function, you have to figure out what it is you're going to sculpt and represent, because somebody out there is going to be an expert on it, and you better know what you're doing, more or less.
We went to New Mexico, Santa Fe, for research.
We hit up the Spanish market, and we did a lot of just shopping around, and I went and visited a really good artist down there, and we were able to kind of bring that back and apply it to ornaments that actually went into the line. It's always fun when you can tie a trip into. I have to go to Hawaii because I'm working on that one.
It was fun. We rented a van. We just drove all the way around. We even went to, what's the alien place?
Roswell. We went to
Roswell.
So a little really interesting sightseeing also.
But we did get some really good ideas and concepts from that. Still trying to push the alien ornament.
When I was hired, we were in what was known as the AAA building. It used to be an old AAA automotive place. It was across the street. It was by itself.
2 stories tall.
It was kind of
red brick.
And it leaked. The roof leaked. But there was something about that place.
There was a freedom to it.
There was a charm about it, kind of an old school kind of art studio feel about it.
It had a atmosphere kind of like when you go to visit an aunt or an uncle or your grandma's house. You could play in the yard. We would go sledding outside when it snowed. You could have barbecues in the parking lot. We would do silly things. Silly is good. It helps you be creative, because I'm a kid that just happens to be an adult body. Now you're more of you're still a kid somewhat, but you're an adult too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I am.
I'm more of a kid. But you got to know when to be a kid and when not to. I'm back. I'm not a kid anymore. The other cool thing about being in the old AAA building, the 4 originals, Ed Seal, Linda Sickman, Don Hill, and Pete Dudkin were there. And that was great. The history of it, the successful history of it. Because, wow, if Ed did it that way, that must be the way to do it. And I learned so much from those people. They didn't necessarily sit in your booth and tell you how to do it. You just looked. You just looked at how, like, Tracy sculpts that car. And you learn how to do it better because that's how he did it. That's how we all learn.
It was fun to have Ed Seal and Linda Sickman and Dwayne Unruh. Like, they were the gosh, they started it all.
Well, behind me, we have the Keepsake Ornament Club documentation from the beginning, 1987, through the early 2000s. Well, what I thought was pretty interesting is we actually have some documentation that predates the club's founding. In 1973, we had about 20 ornaments in the Hallmark Keepsake ornament line. There was a lot of regional clubs that started sprouting as collecting just kind of took on its own craze. So we have some regional club documentation from the year prior, 1986, and it's just newsletters that would be sent out to club members within certain areas. And we have that. And then also just some of the membership exclusive pieces, like this particular tote bag we have here. By 1987, when the club was founded, we had over 170 ornaments available. So those dream books really helped our consumers understand which ones they had and which ones they wanted to purchase in the future. And then today, we have hundreds of ornaments available in the stores. So having a dream book available in both print and online really allows our fans to keep up to date with their collections.
The whole world of collectors is so new because we've both been here 15 years and just, you know, like Joanne said, you just work on it and it goes out the door and you never know who buys it. And then you go out and there's this whole world of people that like what you're doing and actually, you know, come up and say they like it and why they like it.
I was like,
I mean,
wow,
it's a nice,
this is nice.
it's a great little ego boost.
It is.
You know, but it's really fun to get to know those people who appreciate what you do and give you feedback and kind of build relationships with some of the collectors. And I don't think, like you said, I don't think that exists anywhere else within the company. So we're pretty lucky.
Going to signing events and meeting collectors who collect your items, your ornaments, and when they come up to you with an ornament that they have a story behind why they bought it or what it means to them, or have a child come up to me who's been getting the my Snow Buddies ornament since they were a baby, and then not even a child at that point. 20 years would be what Snow Buddies is. So, you know, that is just really touching.
People are wonderful. We do probably average, I think most of us do 20 some ornaments a year. And you got your favorites, obviously, and the ones that maybe aren't necessarily your favorite or whatever. But you go on a signing event, and people come up to you with this ornament, and maybe, dare I say, maybe it's not your favorite, but it is to them. And it has special meaning to that person and who gave it to them or who they gave it to, and you hear that, and it's like, you know, forget how you feel about it. It's so important to them that you know, flattered and humbled by that. It's a good reminder of what you do and the importance of what you do. Dare I say, if keepsake ornaments are important to this world, then you know you do see glimpses of that when you meet people, and yeah, it gets you through the next year.
Yeah, I remember the first one that caught me kind of like a deer in the headlights was the very first collector convention that I went to in Kansas City. As soon as I came to Keepsakes, I was brand new. I was still in that like checking it out sort of stage, and that would have been in like 1999 or 2000, one of those, and they had a great big convention in Kansas City. And even though I'd worked in Hallmark for 15 years, I didn't know this world really existed. Had a great big parade, and they said, go get in that parade. And I'm like, what are we doing? And they had these, you know, larger than life floats, and then they're like little they had the mayor speak, and they had like fireworks going off. And, that was the first one I ever went to, and saw all these people come from around the country to go
All over. There were
to see that.
like
And that
3,000
shocked me.
collectors there. One of my most memorable moments includes everything Sharon just said, but it was also Don Hall Jr. and his brother Dave were to come out on stage, and as soon as they walked out, the whole crowd started chanting, "Hallmark, Hallmark." Do you remember that?
Yeah.
They were so taken back by that. They literally just put the script aside and just talked
Yeah.
to the collectors, and they were really, they got very emotional over it, and it made all of us get very emotional because we saw how much that meant to them. And I mean, it was such a proud moment, I think, for all of us.
Yeah, to see where it is now. When you think back to the yarn ones and the ball ornaments, what they were in the very beginning, it was very few. Very few. So yeah, it's a huge, and it's got we have something for everybody now too.
And surprisingly, I still get as excited as anybody at Christmas time. I don't know how that is or how I separate the two, but it doesn't seem to matter that I've just spent a whole year with Santa Claus. I'm still like everybody else, waiting for him to show up.
Honest to goodness, last weekend I was in Branson, Missouri. I'm sitting in my car. I have the word toy maker on the license plate. I'm waiting for my wife to check into the room. This guy walks by. He goes, "Sir, I noticed you have the word toy maker on your license plate. What does that mean?" "Well, I work at Hallmark." "You work at Hallmark? What do you do?" "I work on Christmas ornaments." "What kind?" "I get to work on Disney things." And he brought his family by, and I'm like, it's not me. It's what I was given to use, and I'm the fortunate guy that got to work on those things. And I'm also fortunate because it makes people happy. That's the big payoff for me.